Alright, so this is for the Illustrator Image Trace and other tools. You'll find it in Canvas, and there is a skeleton key JPEG that you need to download. Then from there you'll go into Illustrator and just File New. The default is all just fine, so you can leave that. And then I'll go File, Place, and I just need to go find in my downloads or wherever you saved it the skeleton key picture. So, and then you just go ahead and you place that. Oh, and there you go. If you zoom in on this, you'll see this is a JPEG. It does get fuzzy as you zoom in, and there are pixels. So what we're going to do is something called Image Trace. And it's right up here is the button, and there's a drop down next to it that gives you your image trace options. I'm going to start with high fidelity photo. It takes it just a second, and then ta-da, you can see all the little separate paths, and if I zoom out, there's my key. And because the key is fairly basic, it actually looks very similar to the photograph. Now if you go to Window and then come down and find Image Trace so that it brings up this panel with options, you can now switch it around and try some other things. So I could do shades of gray, which makes it kind of look like it's a silver key, so I do like that. Some of them don't work, like if I go to line art, on this particular picture, line art doesn't do anything. So I want you to end with 3 colors though. So that simplifies the key a great deal, and then I can go ahead and I'm going to close out of that. So once you've done that, there's a new button called Expand. If you click on Expand, you now have anchor points. So you can actually make edits to this key. So if you go to your direct selection tool, I can click on an anchor once so it turns blue and all these other ones turn white. And then I can drag the anchor out. So that's not necessarily what I wanted to do. Whoops. You gotta make sure you click on it once first and then you drag it around. So you could go ahead and make changes to this and make your key look differently, and there's these little handles just like within the pen tool, and then you edit your key. From there I'm going to click away, and then I'm going to click on the dark brown and hold down Shift one more time so that I've got all of that selected, and then I'm going to change the color. So maybe I'll make it a silver looking key, so I'm going to change it to a gray. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through, and it'll take you a little bit of time to select all of the, oh, and you can see I've missed a few brown spots, so I'll need to go back to those. So I'm going to go ahead and just select a few spots. Unfortunately, my computer lags when I do these recordings, so I'm not going to do as many. But I'm going to take those light gray spots that I have selected, and we're gonna go for a rusty key now. So you're gonna just start to change it so that this key is entirely 2 different colors. Okay, sorry if you notice my key looks different. My computer crashed. So you're just gonna go through and switch this key so that it is all just 2 different colors than it was before. Okay. For the sake of time, I would pause this video now and go ahead and do that, but I'm just gonna keep going. So next thing we're going to do is you're going to just use the regular selection tool to select your key, and then you're going to go up to Object, and you're going to create trim marks. What that does is it just creates these little guides, so if you were printing out your key, then you'd be able to know where to cut in order to cut it the way you want it. So pretty basic. I'm just teaching you this because it could very well come up on the test. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn to do the Shape Builder tool. So you click and hold and you go to the star tool. If you click and drag and you don't let go with your mouse yet, so like I'm still in build mode in the sense, so while it's still active and I haven't let go, I'm going to do the down arrow on my keyboard until it becomes a triangle. And then you can use the space bar to kind of, move it and then let go and rotate it around until you have it looking the way you want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a fill color so that I can see. and bump it up to at least 2 points. Okay, then I'm going to make a second one. So the end result is we're making a little pine tree. So let go, and then I'll do at least one more. Okay, using the space bar in order to move things around. Now, if I fill these in with color, so let's say I hold down Shift and I select all of these and go ahead and fill it with some, light green color. I can tell that this is obviously made of different shapes. So what you do in order to use the shape builder tool is you have to have everything you're going to combine selected. So you hold down Shift on your keyboard and you make sure to click so that each of these triangles is, got the little blue anchors showing it's selected. Then you go to the shape builder tool, which is this one right here. And as you drag over things, you'll see now that they become this green. So what you'll do is I start at the top and I'm going to click and drag, and you might need to click and drag over so that every piece of this is drawn through. Then you let go, and now it is one shape. Ta-da! All right, so now we're going to create a pattern for this tree. So first thing, we're going to go back to the shape tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. And if you might need to zoom in, it'll make it easier. Make this kind of a small rectangle in relation to your tree. If you hold down Shift while you draw it, makes it so it's a perfect square. And then I'll let go. I don't want it to have a stroke. I just want it to have a light green fill. Then I'll click, and I'm going to go to my Ellipse tool. And once again, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to hold down Shift, and what you want, so you might need to use the space bar to move things around, is I want this circle to fill in, and you can use the move arrow on your keyboard a little bit if you need to move things around. I want this circle to just fill in perfectly. And then I'll switch to a slightly darker green so it sticks out. Okay, so the goal is, and if you need to zoom in and use the move tool to move it around, you want to have this circle kind of nested perfectly inside of the square. Now I'm going to select the circle, and I'm going to go give it a fill. I'll go for the darkest green, and I'll bump it up to 2 points, maybe 3. Now if you look, now my circle has gone outside of this square. So what you can do is I could just make my rectangle a little bigger, or you can come up to this orange word, stroke, and where it says align stroke, I'm going to align the stroke to the inside, meaning the stroke, right now it's on the center. See how there's green on both sides? If I align it to the inside, it's inside of that blue line. Okay. And it kind of looks like my square is just a little bit too, there we go. I like it. Okay, so what you'll do with your selection tool is make sure that both the circle and the square are selected and nothing else. Then you go to Object, Pattern, Make. And it's telling you this is going to be put in your swatches panel, meaning up here, or as you can see, it's already created right there. So OK. And this is what it looks like. This is what my pattern is going to look like when it's repeating. If something doesn't quite work, you could go and change things. Like if I move that, it changes my whole pattern. I don't want that because I like it the way it is, but just in case you need to. Also, if something's really bad, you could press cancel and go back and fix it on your main screen. When everything looks good though, you say done. So now I'm just going to go ahead and select my tree and come up to this and choose my pattern. And now we've filled the tree with a pattern. And now I can go ahead and I can select this and delete it because I don't need it anymore. So you could do this with all kinds of things. This can be a pattern for anything. You could do any sort of shapes, you could do zigzags, you can do lines. I could add little colored, if I did, in class we did like 3 rows of green and we made some of these circles colors so it kind of looked like Christmas ornaments. So there's a lot of ways you can use a pattern. For now though, we'll just leave this as is. Now what you're going to do is you're going to select your tree, and you're going to go up to the effect, and you're going to choose crop marks. And you know, crop marks are very similar, pretty much the same thing as trim marks. They create this little line that's going to give you a guide of where you would cut in order to not cut off any part of this tree. Alright, now let's go ahead and make a tree stump. So you're going to take your rectangle tool, put it at the base of your tree. I'll set the fill to a dark brown. You also need to have a stroke on this one, set it to dark brown. And we're going to give it kind of a bark look, so it's a little rougher. So you're going to go to basic, and you're going to choose this one, charcoal feather. If for some reason you don't have this, you just come to this little book, brush libraries, artistic, and chalk, charcoal, and pencil. Those are all good. So if you see, if I do this one, it kind of roughs up the edges. That one's probably not rough enough. This one's better. So there's several of them here that you can use. As you apply them, you can just see that they make the tree trunk get all rough. So I kind of like that one because it's not really skinny on both sides. So it makes it so you've got this kind of a bark thing going on. All right, almost done. So last thing that you're going to do is you're going to once again take your rectangle tool, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag because this is going to be a border. So I need to set it to no fill, but it does have a stroke, but the stroke I'm going to make it at least 10 points, between 10 and 15 points thick. Okay, and then you're going to change right here where it says uniform to any of these. If you notice, what it does is it just makes it, it's thick on one side and it thins out over there. Or if you choose one like this, it goes thick and then thin and then thick and then thin. You could also, if you wanted to, change it there as well, so you can see it's kind of got this texture going. I just want you to make sure that I can see that it thins out somewhere. So you should have at least a thick part of a border and a thin part of a border. Okay? Now let's double check the rubric just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Key has been image traced and changed to 2 different colors. Crop marks on the key. Your tree is combined using the shape builder. Trim marks. Tree has a customized pattern, and you've got your border. All right. I believe then that is everything. So go File, Export. Make sure to switch it to a JPEG. Also, if you check Use Artboards, it means nothing outside of this black line will show, which isn't really a problem with this particular assignment, but some assignments when you're drawing stuff, you have things that are going over the edge that you don't want to be seen. Just make sure you use artboards. Okay? Go ahead and export that. I'm just going to cancel it, and then make sure that you submit it in this one right here, and you are done.